Hey, welcome back to another episode of Road Noise. Hey, I'm sure glad you're hanging out with Dad and I as we continue to have these conversations, just reflecting on Dad's 50 years of full-time ministry. And we're another week into recording this on Zoom. So I know that we've got a bunch of faithful listeners that catch us on Spotify and wherever you, and Apple podcast as well. Um, but if you prefer the version of this that's video, pop over to YouTube and you can catch us there. But all right, so let's get the preliminaries out of the way, Dad. I'm anxious to see where this one's going tonight.
Hey, I want to take us back to the Puppet Prospector days and tell everybody about a church that we were at. I mean, it was a unique experience for us. It happened one time, it's never happened before or since. And so I thought, I ought to share that with people because it was a bit unusual. Our puppet stage, as you well know, was a pretty good sized thing, and it was not collapsible as far as size. When it was set up, it was the size that it was. And if I remember correct, it was um, 16 feet 4 inches wide and almost 8 feet deep and 7.5 foot tall, something like that. Well, anyway, we had a letter that we sent all the churches, and this letter we had commercially printed. So it was a nice looking letter, and it had a diagram of the stage, and right across the top it said, "Will it fit?" And we sent that because we knew that we were getting into some churches that weren't very large, and our puppet stage might be a challenge to set it up. You know, as I look back on that, I think we probably wasted several trees and lots of ink, and I know a lot of postage sending that letter to all the churches that we were at. But they all got one, and I'm guessing maybe one or two people might have read them,
Yeah.
but that might have been about it. Well, anyway, so obviously this church that we were headed to had not read the letter, or if they had, they certainly didn't contact me and say, give me a heads up that, hey, we might have a challenge when you get here. So we arrived with the assumption that everything was going to be fine. We'll have plenty of room to set up. And we're supposed to do a program just for the kids in the basement of the church. Okay. And we've done a lot of programs that way. So we get to the church and go down the basement, only to find out that there is not enough ceiling height down there to set the stage up. Now, this church was not the only church that would run into that problem. But what are you going to do? Well, I'll tell you what we did this time. There was no way we could set it up downstairs. Like I said, the ceiling wasn't high enough. And so we have to set it up upstairs. Well, upstairs, their platform was not large enough. And there was no way that we could move anything from the front of the church and clear off enough space up front to set the stage up. And so we're looking around and, oh, there is a place that we could set it up. At the very back of the church, there was enough room between the door and the first pew that we could actually set the stage up there. But if you set the stage up there, it's going to have to be backwards.
Yep.
We're going to have to face the door. The back of our stage is going to have to be at the front of where the door was, and the front of the puppet stage is going to be facing the front of the auditorium. But that was the only place possible that we could set this stage up. And so we did. We scrambled and we got the whole stage set up before, really before very many people showed up. And when they came in, they had to make their way around this puppet stage. And fortunately for us, our puppet stage was completely covered. The top of it and the sides of it, the back of it, and everything. So when people came in the front door, they couldn't see inside the puppet stage, but we're blocking everything. But they could get around it. And so they went in and sat in the pews. And pastor gets up when it's time to start and says, folks, today the kids aren't going to be having Sunday school in the basement. And today you're not going to have your regular Sunday school teacher. We're going to ask all the adults to stay here for the puppet program. But you may have noticed the puppet stage is at the back because there was no place else to set it up at. And so I'm going to ask everybody to stand and turn around. And if you would just kind of sit on the back of the pew in front of you and put your feet up on the pew where you were sitting, you can sit there and watch the puppet program.
Oh my.
So here's everybody in the church, I mean, all the kids and all the adults up out of their seats, turning around and trying to perch themselves on the back of pews with their feet. Oh my, think about this. Um, Most pews in churches aren't padded at all, but if there is any padding, it's certainly not on the back,
Right.
on the very top of the back where these people were sitting. So I can't imagine that that was very comfortable. In fact, my guess is a whole lot of those people end up standing for the entire time. I'm sure that the visibility probably wasn't ideal, but nevertheless, that's the only place that we could set up. And so when I wrote this road noise story several years ago, I titled it Surprise Y'all, because I'm sure when they walked into the church, they were surprised when they couldn't just walk straight in. And then surprised that we have to turn around and face the back of the church for the service. I don't think that's ever happened before.
Yeah.
Like I said, it had never happened before that, and it hasn't happened since, but that was an unusual setting for us. One of many unusual ones, but I just thought I would share that with everybody tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. And now remind us all, how long is a puppet presentation? How long were people sitting in the back of these pews?
We always figured it would be at least 45 minutes minimum, but a lot of times, the church would want us to go an hour. And so if we know it was going to be an hour, we had plenty of stuff to fill a full hour. So I don't remember what the situation was here, whether we just had 45 minutes or an hour. But even if it was just 45 minutes, that would have been a long time to sit on the back of a pew.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hey, that's a fun story. Let's put it in park here and we'll pick it up again next week.